Hi, and welcome to another edition of Mama's Gone Wild. I'm Nikki Woods.
And I'm Mary Boyce.
And today, this is one of my favorite things to talk about because I think that everybody has such a differing opinion on it, especially when people look at you from the outside and they judge your relationship with your children. So today we are going to talk about favorite children and whether we have them, whether we don't, whether it's a good thing, bad thing, natural thing. And of course, we had to bring back our expert. She is an emotional wellness doctor and success psychologist. Dr. Gladney is here with us to talk about favorites.
Which one of us is your favorite between me and Nikki?
Well, you don't want to correct and say Nikki and I, right?
You both are my favorite.
Okay.
And that's what we tell our children. And it's so interesting because I was actually talking about this. My dad says this to me all the time. He always says, and he never answers, but he always says, I know which one is your favorite. And I'm like, I have two boys. And I'm like, well, which one is my favorite? But he never says which one he actually thinks is my favorite. But I don't think I have a favorite child. I think that my children are so different that I appreciate the differences about them, but I don't think I have a favorite child.
And see, I have four. So I know
favorite team.
I know. So it's kind of like, three girls and one boy. So of course, the only son,
right.
It would be easy. Oh, that's my son. Then you have three girls, and my oldest daughter is a lot like me, which that could be a positive and a negative to a person. So it's kind of like, she's like, Mama, I'm just like you. And I'm going, no, I don't act like that. But my middle daughter is the sweetest, super quiet, and her spirit draws everybody. So she could be the one.
She could be.
She could be the one.
Right.
But then my baby, she's like the life of the party. And it's like, you just got to love her. Yeah. So it's almost like they all have these attributes that you just, like you said, you appreciate the differences. Yeah.
And that's what I think. Now, I was telling you off camera that when I was growing up, I mean, my dad, I am a daddy's girl, hands down. So I think that my dad and I have a special relationship. And some may say, looking in, that I'm my dad's favorite child. But I think that's because he is my favorite, and I think it just kind of naturally he came back with it. But I was saying with my sister, my mom is, she clings to my mother a little bit more. Okay. And so then it looks like my mother and my sister have this special relationship. But I think that they just kind of fallen in with what we decided to do. They're just playing along.
Okay, well, we going to be favorites.
So I think it's interesting. But I think if you ask my mother, she'll say she doesn't have a favorite. Or my dad will say, even though I argue differently.
Yeah. I think you have to say you don't have one, whether you do or not.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're right.
Go around.
But even though you say that, I think the kids feel that.
They do. Right. And even my children,
as we turn to Mary Boyce,
they can feel it.
I think they feel that.
I have a son and a daughter. My daughter is the oldest, my firstborn, a brilliant, sweet, kind of sweet, good kid. And so, I love her so much. My son, they're just 16 months apart. He came along, poor thing. He was like the underdog. He just showed up. He was
He just showed up.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, when he was like about 2 years old, he just showed me so much love. And and it's been like that ever since. So much affection that I can't help but have a very special place for him. And I'm not saying he's my favorite, Nikki. I'm just saying.
But see, I don't think it has to be said. Right. But like you said, I don't know if it's because he chose you.
Right.
So you just, reciprocate, or if it's really your favorite. But I'm concerned about, the emotional part of it, children, because there are some where you can clearly tell that they are a favorite. Right. And how that affects children if they don't get that time or they don't get that attention.
Yeah, it's damaging. I mean, it really is, because I have dealt with grown-ups, and they are talking about all of their childhood. Well, you were the favorite. You got what I didn't get. You, and all of that anger and bitterness, it just grows. And they can't have a good relationship from sibling to sibling, because it's like the jealousy. Well, no, mom believed everything you said. And she, all of this stuff is still, and they're grown. Right. And so I look back at that, and it's like, as parents, we want to set the record straight and say we don't have favorites. And if you can help it, I think it's natural that some of your kids, and I'll say some because I have all the kids.
You have the team.
But but you know your personality may click better. But still, as a parent, our responsibility is understanding the mature level of how to value and bring out the best in each child, and to definitely not to try to make those distinctions. Now, my kids will probably say that my baby is a favorite, and I think that always happens because the baby obviously is going to be the baby. I was a baby child as well.
Me too.
And see, we all were, so we knew we had a little bit of something going on. So, of course, being a baby, I think there's always going to be something because that's your baby, and you know you're done in the last one, so you kind of take care of them a little more. But really, the reality of it, I tell my children, and I think it's good for parents, and I tell parents too, we can't really afford to treat all of our kids the same because they're different, and we need to let that be known.
I would say that, and you know, and it's like you don't get it till you have children,
right?
But it's like we got punished differently.
Absolutely.
Like my sister,
That's
you send her room, and she was perfectly happy.
Right.
I couldn't stand being in my room by myself, so
Right.
it's like that. You know, that for me was a punishment, but for her, it
wasn't a
was
punishment.
it was
She's
no,
like, okay,
not
great.
at all. She'd be in there all day. You know, so I see that, but.
And when you have multiple children, I grew up in a family there were 5 kids, and so my parents they were different. By the time I came along,
They were
They were tired.
but they were doing better
They were
financially
tired.
than they were when my brothers were older. So I got
So not the
a lot
struggle,
of things.
the
I got a
stress.
car, those kind
Okay.
of things.
And you were the
they was
only?
and I was the only girl too.
Right.
So
Oh,
that
well,
was a
girl.
whole other thing.
Oh,
So,
yeah. And I think that matters as well if it's a only. See, you have 2 boys.
I have
and
2
then
boys.
Right.
You have one of each. But yeah, when there's multiple, like my son, he's the only boy. So, you know, you do extra things to make sure that he doesn't feel like he's left out because there's so much estrogen around all the time. I mean, you know.
So what do you do in a situation where maybe one parent has a favorite, but you don't? How do you try to even the playing field in that way?
Yeah, and that has happened in my household.
I was delicately trying to lead you into that.
And so my kids have always said, oh, they know who their dad's favorite is. But what's really interesting is that the kids are cunning. They look at it in a lighter sense because they know that they all are loved. So they kind of use her to get whatever they want. And so if they could do it that way and not take it personal, but it has been a conversation to say, and it's almost like a person is not aware that they're doing that. And it's like, really? I'm really favored. It's like, well, but she's bad. She has my heart, you know, and all of that. The special spot, you know, we've heard that before, right? The special spot. And so it's kind of like, well, you have to be conscious of it, because if the treatment is different, and that's what kids are always looking at. They're always saying, well, you didn't do that for me, or you did that for me, or I got this short short end of the deal.
Right.
Everybody's out for what's in it for me, and kids are infamous for that. As adults, we're like that too, but the kids are really looking at that. So you need to have a conversation, because you don't want it to have emotional scars, so that when they are older,
I was telling a story because I think that, and I didn't realize it till we were actually having this discussion recently. But it's like generational.
Oh,
it's like
absolutely.
my grandmother was 103 when she died, and she has sisters that are like 100 years old, and they still, really don't get along because of something that their parents did 80 years ago. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
So it's like you never really heal from that, because I guess that's like your first love is your parents. So it's kind of like being hurt in a love relationship, and you just never.
You never felt like you were good enough
for saying that.
Right. You never felt good enough. That's the message. I'm not as good as this person. Right. So if that's what your foundation in your home, just imagine as you go out in life, you're going to always not feel good enough. If I just had what they had, or if their personality, or if the way they look, because unfortunately in a lot of families, it gets down to what the child looks like.
That's a whole other topic.
That's a whole nother topic.
Light skin, dark skin. I know some people whose parents favor their kids because one is lighter or something like that. And That's really sick.
And in our families, you know, we run the gamut of skin colors and tones, and you
what's
never
gonna
know.
pop up.
You don't know who's gonna reach back and get some blue eyes, and you just never know.
Right.
And it really, that's a really big issue. Like you said, it's a whole nother topic.
So what advice would you give? Like, say that we've made this mistake, or we're already, you know, into older, maybe teenagers or the tween age or whatever. What would you say to parents on how they can start correcting that?
Well, yeah, I'd say, first of all, parents have to realize it and accept it, that this is something, because they're usually in denial. But accepting it, and you can find out asking your kids. You know, you can find out and saying, okay, I'm going to sit you out. I want the truth.
No judgment.
But you can say, I want the truth. Do you guys think that I have a favorite, and why? Why is that? And so you get it from the kids, because they're going to really tell you. Right. And if it's a favorite one, they'll say, yeah, I know I'm the favorite because you do this for me, you know. So sit down with your kids and then explain to them that I love you guys the same. You know, it's not a difference in love, but I want you to help mommy, because I want to make sure that everybody feels like, you know, they're loved the same. And that's what kids look at it, like their love is different. The love is different that you have for them.
I'm going to ask that question. I'm going to see what happens.
Yeah, ask your kids, and they'll tell you. They'll tell you.
Dr. Gladney, tell us the name of your book again and how we can get your book.
It's called, if I have to tell you one more time.
I love it when she says that.
6 Keys to Motivating Your Kids. And you can go to 6keystomotivatingkids.com and you can get the book. And then I have another one for mothers. You know, it's You Can't Be Sick, I Have to Work, 50 Tips to Emotional Wellness for Working Mothers. Yeah. So I have a lot of stuff to help us in this parenting arena.
Excellent. Well, we always appreciate having you here. And another lady who often talks about success, Judge Mablean from Divorce Court. And she has her own book where she motivates and she inspires, and she has some tips for success, 4 of them. 4 tips for success from Judge Mablean.
Hi, this is Judge Mablean Ephraim coming to you with one of my tips from my latest book, Life Lessons from Judge Mablean, 52 Tools for Weekly Living. The tip today is preparing for success. It's been my experience that if you follow these 4 things, that it will help you in whatever your goals are, whether you're a student in school now, whether you're an adult trying to start your career, whether you're re-entering the workforce given the economy. Try these things. First, plan. Plan what you want to do with your life for the rest of your life. And sometimes we have to start our plans over, but always have a plan or a goal. Set a goal for yourself, a 1-year goal, a 5-year goal, a 10-year goal, a 15-year goal, but set a goal and plan your life. Tip number 2, prepare. Prepare for what you want to do by studying, by taking the right courses, by getting mentors, by networking, by finding out what you have to do in order to reach that goal that you have set for yourself. Pursue your goal. Number 3, pursue your goal and your dream. Never give up on it. Go after it with all deliberate speed. Don't let anything or anyone deter you from your dream. And last of all, persevere. Persevere means go through the hard times. Don't give up. You may have to turn a corner. You may have to stop for a minute. You may have to regroup, but don't give up on your dream. Dreams can come true. Take it from me. I know it as a fact. I planned to be a lawyer when I was in the 8th grade at the age of 12, and the dream did come true. There were changes in my life. I didn't go straight through from undergraduate school to law school. I'd had to take a detour, but I came right back into that road and into that map and to that plan that I had made for myself, and continued and persevered through all of life's circumstances until it happened. This is Judge Mablean Ephraim, Life Lessons from Judge Mablean, 52 Tools from Weekly Living. Pick up the book on the website, judgemablean.com. That's spelled MABLEAN.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Mablean.
I miss her.
On Divorce Court?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, not that I need divorce court. I'm just saying.
But she's got some deals in the works, so she may be back with a court show. So that's good stuff.
Deal.
We got a letter about starting traditions. It says, Dear Mary and Nikki, I am a single mom who has relocated to a city that's away from my family and close friends. I feel guilty because my kids this is my life. Have to miss out on Sunday dinners that my mom cooks back home. No, this is not my life. We rarely get back there for major holidays either. So I'm on a tight budget. And when I find a better job, maybe we'll do better. But until then, how can I fill the void of having family nearby? Tanya from Little Rock, Arkansas.
Oh, well, Tanya. This is my story and sort of Nikki's story too. I relocated with no family, and Nikki relocated. And I think the first thing you have to do is realize that you can start your own traditions. You don't have to do your kids don't know. These are your
like
things.
Cartoons and cereal on a Sunday morning, right?
No,
I'm joking.
Nacho night.
Nacho Saturday.
Nacho Saturday, right?
Yeah. So sad.
Right. But they don't know. They're excited about that. So it doesn't have to be like a big spread like you remember. In fact, we probably need to get away from that. All those big dinners with fried foods and all that bad stuff, and have like sushi night. How about that?
Chicken nugget night
night. Make it simple. Game night. All these things you can do. You can start your own, and your kids, they'll have these memories, and then they'll grow up and feel guilty when they can't do it with their kids. Okay. That's our tip.
That's our tip, Tanya from Little Rock. Or you can move here, and then we could all just be family. Like,
there you go. And that's
you gotta
another
make your own
thing.
family.
Make friends and just start your own thing.
All right. Well, you can email us too at mamasgonewild@gmail.com if you have a question or a comment or topic that you'd like to discuss.
Right.
All right. Well, we thank you for tuning in for another edition of Mama's Gone Wild on blackamericaweb.com, and we will see you next time. I'm Nikki Woods.
I'm Mary Boyce. Stay wild.